Take a look at a massive chrome-plated American truck. It looks intimidating. It feels like pure power. Now look at its European counterpart. A flat, boxy cabin. It looks like it belongs on a different planet. Most people think Americans just love big toys, while Europeans prefer tiny, sensible vehicles, but they do the exact same job. So why the radical shift in shape? No, it is not tradition. It is geometry, and that geometry is dictated by ruthless laws. You see, a standard airline carry-on bag is shaped like a strict box. Why? Because airport sizing bins force manufacturers to squeeze every millimeter of space. The exact same thing happens on European highways. In the European Union, a truck is legally restricted to a total length of 16.5 meters. That is everything: the cabin, plus the trailer. If you add a giant American-style nose, you lose cargo space. Every single centimeter of hood means one less centimeter of goods you can carry behind you. American laws are far more generous. They only limit the trailer length to 16 meters, letting the cabin stretch as long as the driver wants. Europe had only one logical choice: chop off the nose, push the driver directly over the engine. The grim history of the rolling execution chambers during the 60s and 70s. Driving a flat-nose truck in Europe was a gamble. With death in a head-on collision, there was absolutely no buffer zone. The first element to hit the obstacle was the driver. Trucker mortality rates skyrocketed, while American drivers had a massive engine hood acting as a natural shield. European drivers sat on a ticking bomb. Something had to change. Volvo engineers stepped in. They realized they could not change the geometry of the law. They had to change the physics of the metal. They began crash testing cabins in ways the industry had never seen. They did not just build a truck. They built a survival cage. They reinforced the pillars. They engineered the floorboards to slide backward under impact. They turned the entire cabin into an active shield that absorbs energy. It is like a retractable pen. The tip retreats safely inside when pressed. The European truck compensates for its lack of a physical nose with brilliant hidden structural design, yet solving the safety crisis was only half the battle. European trucks still had to face an enemy, older than any highway, an enemy that silently dictates how much you pay for your morning coffee. The battle in the alley and the invisible tax on your table. Driving a massive American truck through a medieval European city is like trying to thread a heavy rope through a tiny needle. During a hurricane, it is impossible. Many European roads are 800 years old. They have sharp curves, tight mountain passes, and narrow ports. A flat-nosed truck has an incredibly tight turning radius. It can pivot on a dime. This maneuverability is why your local supermarkets stay stocked. If European logistics relied on long American hoods, delivery trucks would get stuck on every corner. Shipping costs would double overnight. This directly affects your wallet. That fresh morning coffee you drink, or the new smartphone in your hand, cost less, because these trucks squeeze through impossible spaces without delay. But there is a personal trade-off. When you drive next to these flat-nosed beasts, you are in danger. They have a massive blind spot right in front of their flat face. If you stop too close to their bumper at a red light, you are completely invisible. You are sitting in a death zone, not because of a design flaw, but because of a digital spy hidden inside the cabin, the heart of the beast and the digital master. Look closer at the physics of the long American hood. It actually has a hidden advantage. It acts like a smooth wedge, parting the air before it hits the trailer. This aerodynamics advantage saves massive amounts of fuel over long highway stretches, but in Europe, diesel prices are brutally high. To survive, European manufacturers had to focus on engine efficiency. Instead of body shape, they created highly flexible engines that can climb steep mountains and cruise highways with equal ease. They optimized every single drop of fuel, like a tight bento box. Everything is packed to perfection. Inside the cabin, the culture gap deepens. American truckers live in their vehicles. Their cabs are spacious apartments on wheels, but in Europe, drivers are monitored by a relentless digital spy called the tachograph. This device tracks driving hours to the second. You can only drive 9 hours a day. With mandatory 45-minute breaks, there is no room for the wild, free-roaming lifestyle of the American open road. Everything is calculated, controlled, and precise. Yet there is one place in Europe where these strict rules are completely shattered. A frozen wonderland, where monsters roam free. The symphony of limits, where monsters roam free. Enter Sweden and Finland. Here the rules change entirely. In these frozen northern forests, trucks can weigh up to 76 tons and stretch 25 meters long. They transport massive timber loads where trains cannot reach. They break the European mold. Because their unique geography demands it, it proves that truck design is never about personal taste, national pride, or aesthetics. It is a beautiful dance between geography, infrastructure, energy costs, and survival. Every shape you see on the highway has been carved by these unseen forces over decades of engineering struggle. So the next time you see a flat-nosed truck and think, it looks less impressive than an American giant, think again that flat face is carrying more weight, burning less fuel, turning on a coin, and keeping its driver alive, without the luxury of a long hood. It is a masterpiece of squeeze limits. Just like your smartphone bezel, removing the border opens up a whole new world of efficiency. The difference makes perfect sense, down to the very last millimeter. The unseen hand of law and geometry has shaped our world once more.